my butthole breathers. I have a very special guest today. You have the
Thank
mug already. This is Mrs. Dymin Lynn, and she is one of my favorite people. We have so much fun talking. She just gives it to us real, and I'm so excited to have her on here to like just a scoop of what things are actually like. And as we had talked about with Lance's podcast, they have their own podcast together, only he's on there sometimes. She is the star of the show. So we are going to have some fun today and see where the wind takes us. Welcome.
you. I'm so excited. This is my first podcast, like doing anyone else's. Lance does it all the time. No one ever invites me. So,
Oh, I'm so honored. Oh, I think
um,
you're going to be better than him. Don't let him hear I said that. But I was like, oh my God, she agreed. This is going to be so good.
I'm excited.
Okay, so first, what is something about, we'll go with Lance first, that no one would suspect about him?
Okay. Well, um, if you see him play, he likes to cuss and scream at people, and he's like a highly competitive person to the point where he's like mentally unhinged. So you can watch him play and he's screaming at people and he's angry and all that stuff. In real life, he's literally not that way at all. He won't fight with me, he won't raise his voice. He's very a chill, sweet person. So, and I think people really think he's just generally an asshole all the time. And that is truly reserved for baseball and baseball alone.
Yeah,
So,
he's very good at compartmentalizing. We were just
yes,
seeing last week.
one might think he needs therapy, truthfully.
Well, don't
He's
we all?
he's too good at holding certain things inside. But
Yeah. And I would say behind the scenes, I have not seen him scream and cuss or anything either. So I can second that from what I've seen. But what about
nice.
something as a baseball wife? Let's say, we'll pretend like we're the real housewives. A
Uh,
baseball wife. What do you think people don't realize about you or suspect?
Um, that because I don't technically have a paying job, that I don't work constantly. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I have three children that live with us full time. I have a stepdaughter who we see a few times a year. So that's four kids that I am responsible for the health and wellness of 24/7. And then on top of that, we travel all the time. We move houses three times a year. We go to spring training. We go to wherever he's playing, which has always been different the last few years. Um, so yeah, I think what people don't understand is that a lot falls on the shoulder of the wife when the husband, because Lance's priority and main focus is baseball. That's his first love. There is no we come second. I know that sounds terrible to say, but I was thinking about that last night. He's been doing this since he was 8 years old, and now it is our main source of income. So you have to like jump on the bandwagon. So yeah, I kind of do everything other than play baseball.
Right. And so then how do you prioritize yourself?
Don't, not that often. My family is actually really great about helping me with the kids. So there are times like during the season, I'm able to go on a road trip by myself and just spend time with him. And that's always fun, especially if it's a city I want to go to. So I've been trying to hit all of the major league ballparks.
Oh, how close are you?
I think I only have like five left.
Okay. You hit it
That's
to
not
me.
a goal I ever thought I would have, but here we are.
Well, my husband actually, I think, has been to all of them. I think there's like a new one he hasn't been to, but I was like, oh, well, that's
Well, now
interesting.
they're like switching up teams and everything. Like
Yeah.
A's are going to Sacramento now, so now they're just adding more ballparks to the list.
Well,
What
one of
about
the things that I would find the most stressful that I think perception, people are just like, oh, you move to a team and then you're just thrown in with all these people you don't know and you're all besties. Like that has to be really stressful. Like, not, I mean, just in real life, we don't always like choose to like hang out with certain people and you're kind of forced in that situation. And like, how hard is that?
I think for me especially, like I was never like Susie High School. I know that sounds really weird. Like I am like slow to friendships as a person, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know why that is. I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, it feels like high school a lot of times, like you're the new kid at the table. And so it's a little awkward and you don't know what people are comfortable with and the vibes. You got to feel out the vibes. So it is pretty awkward at first.
Hmm.
Even more awkward when people think you're weird, which has happened to me. So that does happen. A lot of different dynamics come into play and you just got to feel them out. And sometimes that takes a whole entire season.
Hmm. And obviously, you don't have to name a team or people or anything. Do you have a situation you can share where it was like super awkward without like revealing anything? Or
Yeah.
is there a lot of mean girl stuff, or are people getting along?
There's occasionally there's like one bad egg,
Yeah.
and it kind of controls a lot of things. I will say I use my children a lot as an excuse to like not really engage in that stuff.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
Lance only pitches like once every 5 games. So it's really difficult to drag all of your children to a baseball game that they don't want to go to. So
Right.
we really make it a priority to go to Lance's and then just kind of see how it feels to
Yeah.
want to go
Good.
to the other one during the week or anything like that. So really, since I've had a million children, I'm not super duper involved. And really, it helps me. I enjoy that.
Yeah. And you guys have littles. Like, how
Yeah.
hard is that to get them to a game, like at a 7 p.m. game? That's around bedtime, right? Is it just temper tantrum and meltdown after meltdown? Or do they get like pumped?
My oldest is 5, so she's at the point where now she's excited because I know when that's sad. I was pregnant when I met you, right?
I know. Yes. You
Yeah,
found out.
yeah, isn't that wild?
My God, time flies.
Yeah. But she's 5, so there's a kids room at the home stadium where you can put your kids down there and they have games and
Oh, that's
babysitters.
nice.
So she loves that. She knows all her friends are going to be there. They give them snacks, they play games and all that stuff. My middle child roomer is 4 and she's just now starting to be like, okay, I know where we're going. This is cool. And my 2-year-old wants no part of it. It's a screaming fit all the time. I tried to put him in the stands with me, and he's crawling over the bleachers. He's running up and down. And I was like, you're not allowed to be here anymore. So we are very chaotic. I can only speak for myself because I have seen people that bring their kids and they don't even have an iPad and they're just sitting there watching the game. And I'm like, what are we giving these kids? And can mine have it? But yeah, I mean, we have a few good games every now and again, but it's mostly chaotic. Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, like I asked Lance this, but how did you get in this situation? How did you all meet even? Were you dreaming of a baseball husband?
No.
I know.
Okay. So funny. So he was teaching a pitching camp where we live now, which is kind of funny too. And my brother did not even go, but all of his friends ended up going, and they're all big buddies. So they're like, let's all go out for pizza. And they invited my mom and my brother because they're like, you need to meet Lance, blah, blah, blah. And so she essentially pimped me out and was like, hey, are you single? And he's like, haha, I am. And then we met like I say that he's like, oh, we met a few weeks later. And I was like, bro, that was the next weekend. Like, I saw you within 5 days of your initial meeting. And we were supposed to go to a Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. And my mom invited him. And I was an hour late. And I didn't even sit by him when I got there. My mom's like, sit by him. Why aren't you talking to him? And I'm like, girl, you've made this so weird for me. I don't.
Wait, so your mom was there at the Red Hot? He did not say that detail. I thought it was just the two of you.
No, I was supposed to go with my mom and her friends, me and one of my friends. And then she was like, hey, we'll be in St. Louis next week. Will you come and whatever? And we ended up going to dinner beforehand. That's what I was late to, was the dinner. And that's where I didn't sit by him.
So she asked Lance to come to the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Oh,
Mm-hmm. Crazy, right?
that's so
Yeah.
awkward. Like I
I
feel,
never thought that I was going to talk to him ever again. Like we had fun and everything, but I mean, he was pretty drunk too. And
uh-huh.
um He left the concert early because he couldn't stand up very well. I was like, he was going to spring training like 2 days from then. This was like
Yeah.
sometime in January, and his
Uh-huh.
residence at the time was in Florida, where Cardinals spring training was, and so he was leaving, and I was like, all right, well, this has been fun. And then he texts me every day since then.
What was the text the next day?
What was the text the next day? I think he said like, I'd really like to see you again or something like that, and I was
Mhm.
like, okay.
You're like, wow.
Played it too cool, really.
And I mean, were you kind of into him the night when he was so drunk and couldn't stand up or not?
I got progressively more into him the more I started to drink. And it was fun. We did have a good time. So,
Oh
but when
my.
I tell you, I was there for the Red Hot Chili Peppers concert. I had a friend with me. Like, I think part of the reason I was so attracted to him was because I was not all over him, all about him. I was like, I got a friend here. Me and my friend are good. Like, he was probably like, what in the world? Why did you bring me here? Like, this is intriguing.
Yeah.
So,
And you get to be you. And that's one of the things as like an outsider that I've noticed and I love about your marriage and like how you guys prioritize each other. Like you both are so you all the time. You're not faking it. You're not trying to be someone you're not. And like it's fun.
yeah. And it's always been like that. I think that's why our relationship progressed was because like I remember the first night, like I spent the night with him and whatever, and I like brought my 12-step skincare that night, and I was like, this is the first time he's gonna see me without makeup, like he's gonna learn today. And he even noted, he was like, yeah, that was kind of weird. Like you had a lot of skincare, and I can't believe you took your makeup off. And I was like, I'm not getting a pimple for you, my guy. Sorry.
Yeah.
So
Oh my.
I've always been comfortable enough to be myself around him.
I love that. And I think that is something we forget and we stress about like, are they going to like me for me?
Yeah.
And even friends, right? Like friends is kind of like dating sometimes, especially as you get older and you're moving from city to city, but being comfortable in your own skin. Like, is that something you've always been good at, or have you had to work at that?
No, I'm still working on that, I think.
Really? I feel like you're so comfortable, and that's one of the things I look up to you for. Like, you are just
So
diamond.
online, I feel like I'm probably the most myself, but then when someone's like, "Oh my God, I saw your post," I'm like, "Oh my God, you look at that? Stop. That's so embarrassing." Like, you know what's going on in my head. That's weird. So, yeah, I don't know why I'm like that.
My other question is, how did your mom and dad pick your name? Like,
There is not a good story. I wish there were. She just was writing down weird names, I guess, and was trying to write different spellings for all this stuff, and then just like came up with Diamond.
yeah, because it's not diamond like you would think,
Oh,
like our rings. It is diamond, Dymin. And it's
yeah.
just, I've never heard that before.
No, no good story. I wish there was one.
Mm, you know, well, there's someone else that I know you are insanely close with that relationship, your grandma.
Yes.
And how special and stress relieving is that?
Me and her have been thick as thieves since I was born. So I lived with her growing up.
Hmm.
So yeah, I don't know. She's one of those people who I feel like my soul will find in every lifetime. You know what I mean? Have
Oh,
you
I
ever felt
love
that way
that.
about a person?
I love that. That's
Yeah.
so
Yeah,
cool.
we're like soul connected people. I don't know.
Uh-huh. And so what did she think when she first met Lance?
Oh my God. She bought new bath towels and pillowcases, and she was like decorating her house when she knew that he was going to come over. And I was like, is that necessary? And she's like, I just want him to be comfortable. I was like, quit it.
Yeah, he's not going to notice the new towels.
Yes, I know, but
Good
she
boy.
was really trying
Oh.
to make him happy and comfortable, and
And was she impressed?
she loves him. She would choose him in the divorce.
And what's her best advice she's given you about marriage or maybe you and Lance?
I don't know if she's really given me a lot of marriage advice, which sounds weird. A thing that she has told me since like my teenage years that I even have tattooed on my foot is time is your friend. So I
Hmm.
kind of use that just because she's like, nothing ever stays the same. And what is today won't be tomorrow. And that kind of helped me through a lot of difficult times in my teenage years. So I still believe that today.
Wow, I really like that. That's
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
So when I met you, you were going to get rid of a lot of your tattoos, but I've noticed that changed. Like, what was the change of heart?
Well, it's kind of sad. And I would get rid of them all right now. What happened was in 2022, the end of the year, my younger brother passed away. And I don't know, you kind of go a little unhinged and think of all the things that, well, you realize how short life is, for starters. And so I was like, you know what? I've always wanted tattoos. I wanted red hair. I colored my hair red. Like, it just felt like now's the time to do things that you were just always too scared to
Mhm.
do. And getting a whole arm of tattoos was one of those things. So I did it. And now, I mean, I would get rid of some. I'd
Yeah.
look at them and I'm like,
Well, you rock them. And that's why I was like, oh my gosh. What's one of the things that your brother, like his legacy on your heart? Like, what did he leave?
oh my gosh, he was so incredibly loved by so many people. And he was just a very kind, fun-loving kid. He was 18 years old and he loved to fish and he loved to hunt and do all that stuff. And his big dream was to create this outfitters and have a whole brand and, take people hunting and all of that stuff. And he had actually started creating shirts called In the Face. So my mother has actually taken those designs and has made like a clothing brand
Ooh,
and she sells the shirts and then she gives away scholarships to the students at the high school, at the local high school. And so he really has lived on through that and has blessed a lot of people and given them college tuition and
yeah.
books and laptops and all these things and mission trips. So, yeah, it's been really amazing to watch my mom do that. She's really passionate about it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Wow. What a great way to, share and live on. And I'm so sorry. Like, I know that can't be easy. How, like, did you guys navigate that grief?
I think we're still navigating it a lot. It's been 2 years, and yeah, every day's different. Around the holidays is especially hard. Thanksgiving is really terrible. But yeah, I think we're closer as a family now.
Mm-hmm.
And we've always been a tight-knit family, but now I think we're like each other's social life at this point. We really don't hang out with anybody else. No new friends over here. And yeah, we're really close as a family. We do everything together, which makes it hard also because it feels like there's a hole in our family as well. But together, and we're very honest with each other about when we're feeling certain ways.
Yeah,
And we
absolutely.
work together.
And we all go through different grief and lose different people in our lives at some point. That's the circle of life, unfortunately. What's your best advice that you've learned, like that's either helped you physically, mentally, or emotionally to deal with this the past 2 years?
I would say that you have to feel it instead of trying to numb it. There are certain family members that I have that have been numbing it, and now they're like at a point where they're hitting a wall and they're like, I have to deal with these negative emotions because now it's starting to affect me personally. So you have to feel it, you have to go through it, you have to talk about it. My mom's really good about, she always talks about him. She never wants that to be like a taboo name, that's not uncomfortable to speak his
Mhm.
name. We tell our stories and all that stuff, and that's very helpful. But yeah, I've had to be very honest with Lance about things. A lot of my grief came out in anger. Because what
Mm.
you don't understand about grieving one person is that all the unhealed parts of you kind of bubble up as well. So there were times where I was mad at people and I was like, I have not thought about you in years. And now I'm like, I want to run you over with my car. Like, but yeah, a lot of mine came out in anger. And truthfully, I'm getting very honest. I don't even care. This was a very difficult time in my marriage with Lance because it felt like to me his life never changed because the baseball season came. And again, I told you before, that's his priority. There
Mhm.
is no, hey, I got to take a month off because my wife's having a mental breakdown. You know what I mean? It's like he's expected to be there and all of that. And so and that's his outlet. He's
Mhm.
family members pass away. And he got to go and throw 100 pitches, and that was his physical,
Hmm.
mental escape from everything.
Hmm.
And I didn't have that. I was stuck at home with three kids. My youngest at the time, when my brother passed away, I was a month postpartum with my
Mm.
youngest son.
Oh my God.
So when I tell you I hated Lance so much that whole entire year, and he felt it.
Oh
And
yeah.
like it was definitely a struggle. Just a lot of resentment of you get to go and have your escape and your release, and then you go to nice dinners on the road trips, and
Mhm.
I am a hot mess over here, mentally unwell,
And feel alone.
and feel very lonely, yes. And then everyone around me is grieving also. So they're not there to be like, come on, you're good. You know what I mean? It was like I was kind of the backbone for a lot of other people at the time. So I was just redheaded and tattooed and just crazy over there for about a year. And then, but that did open up a lot of communication between Lance and I. So
So
I
you
think,
like used it to become closer, even though like anything good in life, it's not easy.
yeah, no, it was rocky there for a second, but now I think we're like better for it.
Hmm. And I think that's what well, there's lots of conversations I think people should be having, but one of them is marriage. It's not what it is in the movies. Like it takes work and you're not going to like each other every day.
No, not at all. Not even a little
And you
bit.
got to like really dig in and grow together and have those hard conversations and
Yeah.
ugh,
And I'm thankful for Lance for being willing to do that.
yes.
He
Yes.
comes from a family of like, I'm man, I don't feel anything but strength and whatever. And like, the man can't cry. And I'm like, I cry all the time. I cry in commercials,
Hmm.
books, songs, everything. Like, I'm such an emotional person. So for him to meet me when it's not always comfortable for him to share his emotions has meant a lot.
Hmm. And I'm sure, I don't know, you can tell me if I'm right or wrong, but from his perspective, he probably may being raised in that and like that's his mentality. He didn't even know how to help
Oh, no, not at all.
to do. So he felt like not a man and not
Yeah.
helpful and like not able to save you. Like you can't save someone from that.
Yeah. But that's helped my communication in a weird way
Mhm.
because I know with him, I have to be incredibly specific. Like, man can't guess what I'm feeling.
I mean, yep, exactly. I know men are very simple creatures. I wish my mind wasn't like Vegas and I could just, you know.
I know. It's crazy. But yeah.
So you during this time were postpartum and like we said, we met during your first pregnancy, right when you found out. I want to dive into that a little bit more. What do you wish you would have known before your first pregnancy?
What do I wish I would have known? So much. There are so many things. Again, I talked about things like bubble up that you didn't know was inside you. Postpartum is wild. Okay, because you're sleep deprived, your body has been put through hell, and now you have to take care of this tiny stranger that you know nothing about. And so, with my first pregnancy, I was absolutely terrified of everything. Like, I was scared to put clothes on my daughter because I was like, I'm going to break her neck. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm gonna break
Uh-huh.
so tiny. So I was just really terrified of absolutely everything. And then I talked on my podcast like last week because I was explaining to Lance, like, you don't feel the same things, like the same fears, like we just don't have those. And I was talking about like intrusive thoughts when you first have a kid because you're so terrified of doing something wrong that like everything becomes danger. And then they're like thoughts that almost aren't your own. So like when we lived in Arizona, which is where I had Lively, we were in a rental house and there was like a lake outside and I was like, I'm gonna drop my baby in the lake. Now
Oh.
I've been around that. I've never stood by the lake and was just like, ah, beautiful. But for whatever reason, I'd be laying in my bed and I'm like, I'm gonna drop my baby in the lake. And it's gonna be terrible. So it's like there's so many things that I think women go through that isn't talked about because I feel like if you say them out loud, you think you're gonna be committed because it is kind of crazy.
Mhm.
So I would like to be told, like, hey, that's normal. You're not crazy. Like, this is, I don't know what it is, maybe like a defense mechanism or survival. I don't know, but women go through so much mentally, physically, and emotionally, and it doesn't seem like people are making that very normal.
Mm-mm. Mm-mm.
They're scared to talk about it,
I
and I
agree.
like that.
Yeah. I think that is something also we need to be talking about. And also, like miscarriages. It's 1 in 3 right now. Was it easy for you to get pregnant?
It was. They were like all accidents. Yeah, it was.
And now
But
by the third one, are you just like hanging him by the arm, carrying him around? Like, you'll be fine.
when he's a boy and he's just a different breed altogether. Every time I turn around, he's on a counter, and I'm like, "How did you get up there? This is wild. He's crazy."
I was gonna say, what's the biggest difference between the two girls and the boy?
The energy level, I guess, which I thought my girls were pretty crazy because when you're in it, it is. And then looking back, comparing, my son is just, he's got no fear about
Mm.
anything.
Well, that's you.
I'm afraid of everything.
Well, you present like you have no fear. Maybe inside, you jump in and do it.
Yeah, I'm trying to get better about that.
Which kid's more like you and which kid's more like Lance?
Hmm. They all look like Lance. Who's more like me? I think I would say my daughters are probably more like me. And then I guess my son has to be like Lance, just crazy as hell. No, I do see a lot of myself in my kids, specifically like my anxious tendencies.
Oh,
Yeah, I was a highly anxious child, and I see little bits of that in my kids, which kind of makes me sad, but also I'm like, I'm prepared. I feel like I can see your brain working right now and what you're thinking, so let's try and get on top of it. So,
and you
yeah.
were the oldest,
Yes.
right? Yeah, and you have lots of siblings as well, right?
Mhm.
One of what?
Mhm.
You're one of how
Oh,
many? Okay, yeah. So the oldest child thing, I feel like we're all super anxious.
yeah, for
And,
real. We were like the experiment that your parents had to see how it
and then
went.
they had the anxiety about dropping us,
Yes.
and
Yes.
everything. Like my mom made my dad feed me. She was scared that like she would make me choke.
See, we
Yeah.
all have our little thing that like really doesn't make sense, but to us it was like, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's normal, but once again, why are we not talking about it and like supporting each other and being like, you're fine, you're normal, so you don't feel so crazy. What is something you did during pregnancy to take care of yourself? Or like if you were in pain, to help with pain, or like anything that you were like, I'm so glad I did that.
Thank you. And you pumped my whole body, and it was great and amazing.
Yeah, but I mean, like, obviously, I highly recommend taking care of yourself, having a doctor, a team. Yes, I did not prop that question for that, but I really love that answer. You just made my day. There are so many things that we can see and help support you with to help get you through and set you up for success and a quicker recovery, all the things. But what about like mentally or emotionally? Like your body's growing, you feel weird in your own skin. You can't look down and shave your legs all the way or even touch your toes at some point. Like what else was really helpful?
I've always been a person who journaled.
Mm,
I'm a big writer and I love to do that. That's something that I've always done since I was a kid. So I did that a lot with my first pregnancy. Got a lot of massages my first pregnancy. I went to the chiropractor a lot my first pregnancy. I did a lot more my first pregnancy than I did as time went on.
hmm.
And strangely, I feel like by your third pregnancy, it's like, who gives a shit? I'm gonna drink the caffeine and it'll be fine.
Oh,
Everyone's
yeah. And does it go faster like for the third since you're taking care of two others?
no.
2 to 3 others? No.
I would say probably the first one went by the fastest. And then, well, I will say for me, I don't know if this is like a thing for everybody, but the pregnancies got harder as I got older. You
Hmm.
know what I mean? So I was sicker. I had more like weird things pop up. Like I had a hernia That
Mhm.
started with my second pregnancy and was like full raging by my third. And then somehow on the same side, I had a raging varicose vein that went from my groin all the way down to my big toe. So I had like a tree trunk elephant leg in my third pregnancy. So I was pretty miserable. And then I was chasing around toddlers. So, yeah, no, for me, I was not glowing by the third pregnancy at all.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
how important, like now and even back then through pregnancy, is your support system? You touched on your family a lot and like grandma, and like you guys are really close knit. And I know you're living an off season right now back home. How is that such an important thing? And like, how else do you find support?
It is a game changer. I abuse my family for free childcare on a regular basis, and I don't think any of us would have it any other way. Yeah, no, they come and we get our date nights, Lance and I, and they really come in clutch for me. I can call them when I'm stressed and be like, I'm about to lose my mind. Please come get these kids. I need 20 minutes by myself, and they're
Mhm.
come right over. So very appreciative of them
Yeah.
for
Well, and that, I mean, you kind of answered the next. I was going to say, how do you guys prioritize you and Lance in the off season? Because I mean, he spoke very highly of like, he's like, she's a single parent most of the year, like I'm in baseball and I have to work. And yes, she can come out on trips every once in a while and we get our time together. But like in those months off, what does that look like to prioritize not only your time with him and the kids as a family, but then your time with him? Is it like weekly date nights, weekly coffee,
Oh,
morning coffee? What?
I would say that we are equally as busy in the off season because now we're trying to like condense everything to these 4 months that we can't do the whole rest of the year. So like we save literally everything for like this time and then the holidays come up. So, and our kids are like super active now. So they're in dance classes and gymnastics classes and Lively and Rumor were just in a Christmas play last night. So we are constantly bouncing around. So I won't say that we try to make like a weekly plan because sometimes
Doesn't
a
work.
date is just like watching an episode of Yellowstone, and we're both so thrilled by that. Like, we don't always have to go out and do something or whatever. We really appreciate just being able to like sleep in the same bed, truthfully, because the girls still hop in with us in the middle of the night. Like, no one's really sleeping around here. So, whenever we just get a night to do nothing, we love that.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it's not always some like an elaborate plan. Sometimes it's doing the least amount and laying horizontal without anyone touching you.
Yeah. I mean, don't touch me. Thank you. I'm very happy.
Yeah,
Who's
and
your favorite character in Yellowstone?
I have to say Beth, right?
Same. I mean,
Yeah.
I saw on when I was scrolling that they're doing a spin-off possibly of just her and Rip.
Too. I love me some Rip too.
Oh yeah. Oh, it's so good.
I haven't watched the finale yet. Have you watched the finale?
No, I'm behind, but have you watched the Landmine one? I heard that's supposed to be good.
You watched the previews for that the other day, but we didn't turn it on. But
Yeah.
I've heard that it was good too.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to find time to even watch a show, which is crazy.
No. And then I have decision fatigue. Like
Yep. Same.
much stuff. I'm like, I can't even choose. So I just watched my comfort show, which is like Dirty Dancing or something.
Yeah. Easy
I
that
get
you've seen.
time.
Well,
Yeah.
that's why I like Hallmark movies because they're kind of like calming for your nervous system. It's going to be a happily ever after, and like you go back to the hometown. Are
They're
you a
all the
Hallmark?
like touch different.
Yeah. Are you a Hallmark Channel movie person or no?
I've watched a few, yeah.
That's what I watched yesterday when I was
I'm not
writing.
Frosty.
Oh, yeah. That's a good one. That's a good one. I mean, they're cheesy. I know that. I know that going in, but it's still entertaining and relaxing because I
Your
know
brain,
the ending.
yeah, I get it.
Um, what about what has been your favorite city from a family dynamic that Lance has played in?
That Lance has played in. St. Louis has always been really great because when
Hmm.
I first started dating Lance, he had Mia.
Hmm.
So I was in charge of getting her to games as well. And so they were very helpful to him as a single dad before I was even in the
Hmm.
picture. And when we went back this year, they continued to be great. So I really liked them. I'm trying to think. Minnesota was a great place. And again, we just had Mia. And then where else? New York was good. Texas was good.
You're like they're all good for all their different things. What about for you? Like which one did you have, like kids aside, just like you have the most fun in the city living for a period of time?
I will say that this past year with the Cardinals has been the most fun.
Oh, good. Why?
That sounds bad, but like I was able, my mom was at every game, my family came to every game,
Hmm.
got to bring my friends along because we're only just an hour and a half away
Hmm.
from where everybody lives.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I love to let my family and my friends experience some of the cool things. And when you're so far away, and again, you feel like it's high school a little bit because you don't really know anybody, and then you're expected to be around them all the time, and it's like I don't know. It's
Yeah.
fine. You make friends. I have lots of friends all over the place and lots of people that I know that I will probably never see again if we're never on a team, which is
Hmm.
awesome.
Hmm.
I don't know. It's hard for me to connect with people on a deep level. So to be able to bring my friends that I've had my whole entire life, and we got to run the mascot race on the field, and I got to throw t-shirts off of the stands and all that stuff. So I'm just kind of doing things for the plot this year and bringing my family and friends along, and it was fun.
That's good. And you're making those memories that you'll all be able to laugh at and remember forever.
Yeah. And it's
Uh, Go ahead.
kids.
Say that again.
It's the easiest for the kids
Hmm.
to stay home and we're not in like a weird house all the time or
Hmm.
so it was good.
That's awesome. What is one of the pros of being in the limelight that you're grateful for?
The pros. Hmm. I would say we've met a lot of really awesome people through this, and not just like players and their wives and significant others, but you have like a little community that's really always rallying around you, like the fans of Lance that you meet along life's way. They're very encouraging and happy for you, and that's been fun for me, is getting to talk to fans and get to know them and know what baseball means to them, and it's seeing how important your husband's job is to other people.
Mm-hmm.
That's been cool.
Now, do you think your son is going to want to play baseball?
Yes, I do. He like there was a time there about a month or two ago where he would wake up and be like hit because he wanted to go outside and hit. So I'm like, oh, okay, we're really doing this.
Here we
But
go.
he's pretty athletic.
Okay, well, that's exciting. What about the girls? Softball in their future?
My girls don't like organized anything. I've learned. I've tried to put them in dance classes and what else have we done? Like gymnastics and all that stuff, and they really beat to their own drum. So I don't know if they're too young
Hmm.
classes that I'm putting them in, but so far we're not super passionate about anything.
Well, that's why you got to keep trying everything
Yeah.
and just see what comes.
Yeah. Lively did softball and she was like, "Is it over?" I didn't like that stuff either. Like,
Yeah. You're like, I relate, but I'm trying. That's what we're supposed to do. Keep you
yeah,
active.
exactly.
I was listening. You just said this in I'm gonna let you quote it because I'm gonna butcher it. But in the first episode of your podcast, which we're gonna link in the show notes, but when you're like, one of my favorite ways to describe what being a baseball wife is. Do you remember what I'm talking about? Something like that.
Yes, what I say. It's like setting yourself on fire so your significant other can shine.
Yes.
Yeah, it's true.
I know. I know. And Lance kind of admits it and he knows, like, but I mean, just that, like those descriptive words, because there's so much stress that people just don't even think about, you know? Speaking of that, what is one thing like you do when you're by yourself, you said baseball, that you look forward to that helps you kind of relax?
I like to just lay down. Really do. I swear to God. I swear.
Oh my God. That's amazing. I agree. I agree. There's something about,
I like a good cocktail. Like, I'm not like a person who like drinks regularly. I know that sounds crazy because I talk about drinking all the time because I do love to drink, but I'm not like a one drink kind of girl. I like to go out and I like Like three's my max.
Hmm.
And yeah, I don't waste it on times where I know I have to like get up in the morning or anything like that. So the times that I really get to go out and let loose, I like to, have a good cocktail and a nice dinner and go out with my friends or something like that. And then I like to lay down and not be bothered.
Love it. That's
Yeah.
realistic and perfect. What's your go-to cocktail?
I'm really loving an Aperol spritz right now.
Me too. I
Yeah,
love
like bubbly and light. So I love those any time of
it.
the year.
Yes. Are you a wine girl?
I was, and now it like affects me so bad.
Hmm. Just like
It
headaches and everything?
this isn't even worth it for me.
Yeah. No, that's not fun.
31. Mm.
So we played a little game with Lance. It's like, who is this, kind of thing. So we're going to go through. There's two options, and you give me your answer. So who's more optimistic versus who's more negative?
Oh, I'm more optimistic. 100%.
Love it. Who's more messy? Who's more clean?
I think we're both messy. I'm just more likely to clean it up than he is. So I don't know what that means. I'm more clean then, right?
Yeah, exactly. Who makes most of the decisions?
I would say it's pretty equal. We talk about things a lot. And then sometimes I'm like, I don't want to make a decision. Go ahead.
And then are you good with the decision after you do that? Or are
No.
you like, wrong choice?
No. I think for the most part, I'm pretty okay with it.
Because sometimes we'll do that with restaurants. I'm like, I don't care, pick it. And then I'm like, why'd you pick that one?
Okay, I have definitely done that before.
And I'm like, ooh, that was bad, but I don't realize it in the moment. It's just, I don't
Yeah,
know. I wasn't thinking that, but I didn't care. But now I guess I do care.
no, I agree.
Uh, who's a spender versus who's a saver?
I'm a spender. So am.
What's your favorite?
Splurges too, though. If he wants something, he's no one's saying no to him.
What's your favorite thing to spend money on?
I love clothes, shoes. I love bags.
Yeah,
This
all the things. Who takes more time to get ready?
probably me. But Lance gets going on his hair and his beard, and I'm like, okay.
And who is your favorite country music singer right now?
Who is my favorite country music singer right now? We went to the CMAs.
Hmm.
So much fun. It was so much fun. I really like Kelsey Ballerini. I like Morgan Wallen, but I don't want to like Morgan Wallen.
Mm-hmm.
Post Malone going country has made me really happy.
Okay. I like it. And what about in general, your favorite like artist?
I'm more of a country girl right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the last song that you played country wise? Do you remember?
There's a lot of Jelly Roll playing in this house.
Okay.
I know.
Um, I would love to talk to you because I think we have the same opinion about our husbands and their love of hunting. How does that make you feel?
I don't know why it's so annoying to me, but it so is.
Same.
Is it annoying to you too?
Yes. Oh, it drives me absolutely insane. And I want him to have fun and I get it's a hobby, but I'm
Yeah.
like, you're like, it annoys me. You're right. That's the perfect word, annoying.
Yeah. I think for me personally, he's gone so often. And then when he gets home, he's like, okay, I'm going on a 5-day hunting trip. And I was like, come get these kids. You just got back. What are you doing? It's my turn. Off season. It's my season. Okay.
Mhm.
Uh, yeah. I need to get over it because it's never going away though.
I know. And the more that I bitch about it, the worse it gets, right? It's like, and I think Lance has a similar personality to Josh of like, oh, you're going to tell me no?
Yeah. Then I'll go to Nebraska.
Watch me book South Dakota. I'm like, okay,
Exactly.
well, I'm going to book a spa trip. That's what.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of that, so they have all these hobbies. He has these hobbies, Lance. What are your hobbies?
Oh God. I like to decorate my home.
Oh, that's good.
Yes, we just built this house. Like we moved into it a year ago, so there's still a lot of work to be done. And I really enjoy that, like the
Good.
interior designing of that. So that's fun.
And
I
what
would
would you,
say
oh, go ahead. What would you describe your style like?
we've got like a little mountain modern home, I think.
Okay, cool.
Have like reclaimed wood floors and a lot of wood and a lot of like textures and all that stuff. So very cozy.
Oh, I love that. Okay. And you're going to go on with more hobbies?
I treat dressing like a hobby, like clothes.
Mm.
Like putting an outfit together really brings me so much joy, or like having something on and then be like, this needs a belt. And then you put it on and you're like, love it so. So I like that. That's fun. What else do I do? I would say my podcast is a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not making any money off of it. So yeah, that's been fun to do. And yeah, I think that's really it. I like my hobbies are improving things around me.
That's perfect. Oh, I like that song. That's good.
Yeah, I like to make them.
One thing I wanted to get your advice on, and like most of my clients, they're celebrities, athletes, whatever. And so it's like a fun conversation to have of like, because I get it too now, but like, how do you deal with the mean comments online and people being so hateful?
I don't get a lot of that stuff actually. And a lot of the ones that I do get are from like nobody. They're like fake accounts and they really don't
Oh,
know that well. And that's stupid.
yeah.
So, yeah. And I think I posted like an anonymous question box recently, and that's
Uh-huh.
when a lot of like hateful stuff. And I'm like, well, you're clearly a fan because you're watching me and you know everything about me and Lance and blah, blah,
Uh-huh.
blah. So
Uh-huh.
I try not to put too much weight into any of that.
Just gotta laugh. How does Lance deal with it? I know we talked about booing with him, but just what about the comments?
He doesn't really know about the comments. He doesn't have social media.
That's smart.
It's probably for the best because he would probably pop off on somebody and get canceled immediately. So, yeah, and I don't tell him what they are either. I'll tell him about the things people say about me because
Uh-huh.
that's
Yeah,
no, I don't tell him what people say about him.
that's awesome.
Yeah.
One other thing that you addressed in your episode that I think was so funny. And why do you call yourself this? You say you're a chronic complainer and
I
overshare.
am. I do. I don't know why I've always been like this, but I just I feel like I have a need to like be understood.
Hmm.
Don't know why that is. I probably need to go to therapy and figure that out. Lance is the exact opposite. He's like, I don't care what those people think about me. I don't care if they know this situation, the story. But for me, I'm like, okay, well, this looks like this, but let me tell you what really happened and why I reacted like that. And let me show you I'm really not an asshole. And this is like, I don't know. Is that a people pleasing trait in me that's like, wait, let me just show you. I don't suck. I don't know. But
Yeah.
yeah, I want to overshare.
And why do you think you complain all the time?
I think it's kind of fun. I really know. I'm like, you're gonna know if I'm not happy in this situation right now. I don't
What do you
know.
complain about the most?
What do I complain about the most?
Baseball.
Other people's ignorance. I
Yeah.
do complain about baseball a lot.
Other people's ignorance. Yeah, that's a good one. I complain about that too.
Kind of funny because I'm really not like a judgmental person at all. Like I can rationalize why people would do whatever they do and whatever. But if it's someone who sucks as a person and it's not very nice, then I'm like, you're going to receive my judgment and my complaining.
Yes.
Yeah.
How is it doing the podcast with him? Is it fun? Are you like, could you just be on here less?
I enjoy having him on. I know that he doesn't necessarily like being on it. I do think that our audience enjoys getting to see the softer side of him.
Hmm.
We talk a lot about our relationship and the inner workings of baseball and how he's feeling about the trades and going to a different team and where he wants to go. So you really do get an inside peek inside his brain. And I think people are like, wow, he's not this screaming banshee all the time. And we talk about him being a dad and we talk about a lot of things. So I really do enjoy it. He, again, is just not a chronic oversharer. He really doesn't care if anybody knows anything about him ever.
Hmm.
And yeah, but I'm having a lot of fun with it. It's definitely taken me out of my comfort zone. I did go to school for journalism many years ago. So that was kind of always going to be some sort of path that I was going to take was going to be like that.
Well, I remember when I met you, you were talking about blogging, or you did it a couple times and enjoyed it or something.
Yeah, I did. And then the more kids I got, I was like, I can't, my brain is mush. I can't
Hmm. Hmm.
together. So yeah, no, it's been fun. It is a lot of work though, and
Yes,
something that I don't think you're going to see the rewards of for many years because I'm really starting from scratch, but
I get it.
I know you do. You're a little badass.
Oh, well, thank you. But there is something about like, oh my gosh, someone listening, like I just learned that this podcast is in the top 10% and 52 countries are listening. Uh,
What?
like we're helping people being honest and with our voices and like maybe they learn something they had no idea about or they get really excited about, and or they send it to their friend and they're like, they're going through this, like listen to this. And it's just like such a connection piece to like heal
Yes.
the world.
Finding your community. That's what I always think because
Yes.
when you talk about these things, then you're not alone either in
Yes.
your struggles with whatever it is. So I've always been an advocate for just being open about everything.
And I love
Because
that.
you find your little tribe of people that can all relate, and then you don't feel lonely in the world.
Exactly. And since
Yeah.
this podcast is called Mind Your Body, what is your favorite thing that you have learned or that you practice on a regular basis for your mind or your body?
Or my mind or my body. What have I learned? I think as I have gotten older, I've become emotionally intelligent.
Mm.
So I like to check in with myself daily on like how I'm kind of feeling about things and try because I have struggled with anxiety again since like infancy. Okay, I popped out of the womb a very anxious person.
Uh-huh.
Uh, and now I feel like as an adult, I have the skills to like identify how I'm feeling, why I might be feeling that way. So
Mm.
I make it a point to figure out how I'm feeling daily and why that might be and try to adjust based on what I've come up with. So that's something that's very important for the
So,
sanity.
since you practice and model that, do your kids, especially, the older ones, do they model that a little bit? Are they picking up on that?
On it.
Uh-huh.
We talk a lot. We talk a lot about emotions and, I'm trying to do the whole gentle parenting things. So, which requires a lot of patience and a lot of talking, explaining, trying to understand your emotions and all those things. So, we do that a lot.
I love that. And what is the last thing you want to share with the people? Either they wish they knew your best advice, something about you.
Um, Something that I wish everyone knew. I would say we're all just out here trying our best. You know what I mean? And I feel like in today's world, everybody is so critical of one another, and it doesn't feel like there's like a lot of safe spaces for a lot of people.
Mm-mm.
Um, so yeah, I don't know. Just be kind to one another, and everyone's trying their best. I don't know. That's probably terrible advice, but that's
No,
how
I
I
love
feel.
that. I think we all need that reminder. And like being kind, that's huge. Everyone's going through something that you don't know anything about.
Yeah. And I learned that specifically like when my brother passed away because so many people would come up to me to comfort me and they'd be like, this happened to me, da 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 da. And I had no idea. Like you don't really know the weight that other people are carrying.
Mhm.
And so yeah,
And
just
then
had
your issues show up in your tissues. So we got to take care of all of it.
so yeah, just I don't know, try to be more understanding of people. I think, again, I told you I'm a person who really wants to be understood. So I try to give that to other people as well and try to understand just that they're a human being and they are not perfect and they might be going through so much that they'll never tell you. So
Yeah,
that.
I love it. Well, thank you so much for taking time out of your busy schedule to be on with us. And I love that you already had your mug with you. Um,
To
like I
your
said,
butthole.
breathe into your butthole, people. This is available on all platforms. If you wanted to watch our little interview on the YouTube, make some comments, share with your friends, and go check out their podcast, Diamond in the Rough with Lance Lynn sometimes.
Thank you for having me on.
Of course.